YB stays on your neck.
No, I think they should have a rematch. Anthony Joshua can wait. He doesn't want any of those guys. When he's seen that fight, he's like, wow, these guys can box, and now they're going to do it again. He's at one place in his career and in boxing, so obviously he can make the decisions that he can make, and his decision is not to fight any of them at this moment.
I believe that. Now, you made the jump from the UK over to the States, something that Joshua hasn't done. Would you advise him to do that early on in his career and get that over with? Because it's a huge market that he's missing out on.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he'll come over here quite now. I think he's too happy in England being protected and boxing in front of the British crowd.
Yo, my dons, make sure you hit that like button, comment, subscribe, and obviously hit the bell for notifications. So, as you can see on your screen now, we just heard there from Anthony, ruthless Anthony, merciless Joshua, and I've got to say, listen, I'm gassed. I'm fully gassed off this. The way we're gonna get into the psychology, obviously. Oh, why be you late with this one? Oh, why? Listen, if you want to hear news reporting, AJ said this, and I think that go do that. If you want to know about psychology and ruthlessness and deep investigative deepness, yeah. The analysis we're about to get into in a minute is just too smoky. YouTube ain't really, if I'm honest with you, YouTube ain't really ready for the smoke, for the deepness the YB's about to bring. Anyway, let's cut to it. First things first, the reason I played these Lennox Lewis videos at the start of this is to give it some context, because I've seen several dons on YouTube saying, I think AJ should be more respectful. Oh, Lennox is an old man. Oh, Lennox is an all-time great. I'll tell you what, I've got another video coming actually. A second ago, I was having a bit of a laugh, but I've just got riled up thinking about Spencer Fearon, the Muppet. This guy's gassed. He's talking about, Lennox Lewis carried Muhammad Ali's pallbearer. Do you think Muhammad Ali would have had a... Don't... Lennox Lewis ain't no Muhammad Ali. Don't try and take the clout of Ali and try and attribute that to Lennox. No. Lennox is his own man. And with that said, Ali set an example. Ali's like AJ in as much as... I remember there was an old TV show, it's on YouTube, back in the, 90s maybe, with a prime Mike Tyson and Muhammad Ali. And Mike Tyson walks out, and Ali he's obviously, Ali's a joker, but he's obviously got Parkinson's, but as Tyson walks out, he or something like that, he like hides as if to say he's scared and whatnot. And the interviewer asks Ali who would win. And again, he's got that whole banter full, and he's essentially giving Tyson respect. Now, that said, Tyson constantly says back, there's no way, no, Muhammad Ali would have beat me and whatever. But that's what should happen. And that's why it pissed me off when Spencer Fearon's sitting there trying to suck Lennox off just because he was a pallbearer. That's got nothing to do with it. Ali set the precedent. Ali's like AJ in as much as, I can't imagine there being AJ sitting there ever and saying things that Lennox has said. And now you've all heard them. So all these people like Spencer Fearon and all them other YouTube dons talking about how AJ needs to be more respectful. For what? You earn respect. Lennox is a muppet. He's a paid hating shill. Lennox the hater Lewis. The YB already coined that term. Lennox a la hater Lewis. 100%. Even Lennox Lewis himself saying, I don't know why. In his weird ass Canadian, USA, all this mix-up, all these weird ass voices he's got about how, I don't know why he's calling me a clown. But this is why we're calling you a clown, yeah? When Wilder turned down 100 million, you said nothing. You put out a stupid ass emoji with your hands in the air saying, oh, I would have taken the money, you muppet. AJ, on the other hand, has been chasing these goons down, and you noticed that as well. Remember, in the run-up to June 1st, yeah? Did you see Lennox Lewis on Twitter? When AJ was talking about wanting to have a meeting with Fury, when AJ was talking about wanting to have a meeting with Wilder, did you see anything from Lennox the hater Lewis? No, you didn't hear squat. Now, this video here was taken back in 2018. In fact, no, 2019, or whenever it was recent. And because he's talking about the what. In fact, no, it must have been 2019. It was 2019 because he's talking about Wilder Fury fight, and you hear him here saying, "Oh yeah, AJ seen the Fury versus Wilder fight, and he doesn't want any of them to. He can see they can box." And then he goes on to say, categorically, AJ's too busy being protected and hiding in the UK. What's wrong with this man? And he sits there and says, "Oh, I don't know why AJ's got it in for me for." You're a muppet, and I'm glad actually. AJ, as I said, in a minute we're going to get into it. AJ proper, I was shocked. I had to take a back step. AJ mugged this guy off. He mugged him completely because, anyway, I don't want to say that yet, but let me carry on with the Lennox part of it. All these people ranting and raving about how Lennox is a paid-for shill. And not only a paid-for shill, he's the worst kind of paid-for shills because he's a wolf in sheep's clothing. He tries to make out he's neutral. Yeah, you're an algae-manitis. You're suffering from algae-manitis, Lennox. That's the bottom line. PBC paid for. That's it. Come out and be honest. Don't try and make out you're down the middle. Someone and all them people out there, Spencer Fearing included, talking about, "Oh, do you think Muhammad Ali would have had a clown?" It's got nothing to do with Ali. Yeah, Lennox is a clown. He's a complete muppet. And don't say everything. "Oh yeah, I think AJ should apologise." Are you mad? He's a complete mug. And I tell you what, actually, you're right. AJ should apologise. Why don't you go and tell that muppet Lennox to apologise for what he said? He said AJ was happy hiding in the UK. He said AJ wanted no parts of Fury and Wilder. Where have you been, Lennox? And what frustrates me is, it's absolutely to the contrary. Lennox sits there and says, "Oh, well, he's just hating because I criticised him for the AJ versus Wilder situation." Wait there a minute. So that situation ended, number one, on the basis that AJ offered him, Wilder, 100 million. At which point you said, "I would have taken the money." So you're admitting there Wilder was in the wrong. So my question to you is, you're sitting there saying, "Oh, AJ's mad at me because of the criticisms." Why haven't you addressed them criticisms then? Because you almost admitted yourself or conceded that your criticisms are wrong. Because that whole debacle ended with Wilder being offered 120 million. And that's why I don't respect Lennox. And that's why there will be no apologies. Because he's not back. He hasn't. What has he done? All he's done is ever give it out. He's never actually sat there and said, "You know what, I put my hands in it, I was wrong." Saying, "Oh, I would have taken the money." That's not admitting it. What you should have done is, Lennox. And that's my next point. What was the other word I coined Lennox with? What was it? Oh yeah, Lennox polarising Lewis. Because when it comes to AJ, he's got all the explosive things to say. "Oh yeah, Eddie Hearn's protecting him. He's happy in the UK, being saved, fighting bums. He don't want no. He saw how Fury and Wilder were boxing. He don't want no parts of them." Proper going into detail, proper polarising opinions, weren't they? Proper like wow, proper stuff that will blow you back after watching on a screen. But yet it comes to Wilder. "Oh, I would have taken the money." Where was that same response? What you should have said, Lennox, at that point was, rather than sitting there and talking about how AJ's scared and how AJ's happy being protected and how he doesn't want to box Wilder or Fury, you should have said, just like he did with the Wilder situation. And that's my issue here. And what frustrates me is you've got all these YouTubers and Spencer Fearon, the knowledge. He's a muppet. Spencer the Muppet Fearon, yeah? Spencer the Mug Fearon. He ain't got no knowledge. Got absolutely no knowledge. And the fact he said all this stuff, it proper infuriates me. Everyone's always saying, "Oh, you need to respect your elders." I understand that to an extent, but still, respect is earned. You don't just get respect because you're old. If you're a muppet, if you're a clown like Lennox, you don't get no respect, old or not. Yeah? An all-time great or not. You're the reason Ali got so much respect in the latter of his career is because look at his charisma. Look at the man he was. And I used that. If you haven't watched it, go put it. In fact, I can remember the show. It was the Arsenio Hall. The guy's a comedian. It was the Arsenio Hall show. Arsenio Hall. Mike Tyson. If you put in Mike Tyson and Ali, there's only a few videos on there. Mike Tyson Ali chat show, and you'll see it proper like, yeah. Even though Ali was suffering at that point, he still had that. You know what I mean? There was no it wasn't a bit of malice in his bones towards the younger generation. Lennox, on the other hand, you'll never hear Lennox talk about, "Oh yeah, AJ would beat me or anyone would beat me." He wouldn't say it. In fact, Lennox, I reckon Lennox would still reckon he'd back the beef, but he don't want to get in the ring though. And that's the difference between him and and AJ and Ali. No, I'm not saying AJ isn't Ali, but I'm saying it's that mindset. I can't imagine AJ being 60 years old and still sitting there and saying, oh yeah, I don't know, I'll always back myself. I can't imagine that. I can imagine him saying, this is so-and-so's day. This is Daniel Dubois' day. Let him have his shine. But Lennox is always trying to be in, he's like Diddy, always trying to be in the camera, always trying to be in the photos. I mean, you're not anymore. You finished, yeah? You got beat up by Vitaly and you ran off. That's the truth of it. Whoever wants to take that or not take that, that's the truth of it. Now, I think he probably would have beat Vitaly, but still, you got beat up and you ran off. You got lucky with that one. You checked out. Fair enough to you. But let's not make out you're some ruthless Don who was completely unflawed. You got put down by two Dons that were nobodies. The same as AJ, but you're always trying to take the moral high ground. That's my other issue with Lennox. He always thinks he's got some proper smart thing to say when he's a complete muppet. Anyway, now we've aired that out. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to say on the Lennox side, because that Spencer Fearon video riled me up, man. The way what gets me is, it's not even just what people say sometimes. When people are, look, I've just explained there how and why Spencer Fearon is wrong across the board, yeah, about AJ needs to apologise, but you never hear, and this one makes me laugh. It's the same as Team AJ, Hearn, AJ. It's always Team AJ and Team Hearn. Oh, they should give him more money, even though it's all contractually written out. Oh, they should give him more money. Oh, they should give him a neutral location. Oh, the fight should be. That's another thing. Lennox Lewis the other day, I exposed it. Oh, yeah, the fight should be in Mexico. All this sort of stuff. That's always the. Oh, AJ needs to apologise. It's never. Why don't you, Spencer Fearon? Why when Lennox polarising Lewis made them comments, I've just played for you lot at the start of this video, why when all that business was said, didn't you come out and say, you know what, Lennox, you need to apologise? You wouldn't do it, you wouldn't dare do it, but for some reason you think that, God knows how or why, you think because you've got some yuppie job on Sky, that you can sit there and say that AJ needs to apologise. On what basis? Because being called a clown, Lennox, in my opinion, went in a lot more than AJ did. AJ just told the damn truth. And I remember for the longest time, in fact, up until this latest video, AJ's always kept it polite. And I've been the one saying, the only one saying, by the way, that AJ needs to come out and just start coming out and giving it back. Why not? And I've really enjoyed seeing this, especially how ruthless this was. Now, finally, let's get to what AJ actually had to say.
I guess the likes of Lennox Lewis came back from massive losses.
Lennox
twice.
is a clown. I don't respect Lennox.
He created a legacy, though.
So am I.
That's what I was about to say. Is this all part of the legacy? Are you aware of how big the
nothing
legacy
compared
is?
to what Lennox is doing. Nothing. Me and Lennox aren't the same. My legacy is to sit back and enjoy the younger generation coming up and not to really be involved. Just appreciate what it takes to get there. Lennox isn't like that. Me and Lennox are cut from a different cloth.
Because, as I said at the start of this video, I was solemnly impressed with it because, oh man, the psychology of it, and I'm going to talk about that now. Listen, why I was so gassed at the way that AJ went in on Lennox is this. It was the fact that they weren't even they weren't even talking about Lennox on a smoky kind of setting. Like it wasn't Anna Woolof's, whatever her damn name is, that Anna chick. It wasn't as if she said to him, oh, AJ, what do you think about his comments against you? She didn't do that. They were just talking about AJ losing to Ruiz, and she then says, well, yeah, Lennox has also lost to two people. So they were on level. They was just smooth. And out of nowhere, AJ just drops a banger and says, she goes, oh yeah, Lennox came back twice. And AJ looks at the camera and says, Lennox is a clown. Do you know how mad that is? Like, if you're having I don't know, let's say you're talking to a friend about another friend, and he just comes out of nowhere and says, that Don's a clown. It's a proper muggy thing to do. Do you know what I'm saying? Especially when you're rating the guy. You got Anna Woolhouse here, proper rating Lennox. Oh yeah, Lennox came back twice. And it's like, you know what I mean? It's like you've got a friend and you proper rate him. You're like, oh yeah, this Don Jack man, he's a proper madman. And some guy and then the other guy you're talking to says, Jack's a muppet, bruv. Do you know what I mean? It's proper muggy. And that's what he did to Lennox. Mugged him off out of nowhere. No one was expecting that. I was sitting there with a popcorn out, expecting the typical PC stuff. He mugged him off. Simple. And that's why Lennox is deep in his feelings. That's why he's feeling it. Yeah? Lennox wouldn't normally be coming out. Apart from the fact he loves the attention. And half of me thinks that's the reason he goes against AJ. Because, listen, going against Wilder or Fury, that don't get you no press. And funnily enough, Lennox Lewis already tried that, but no one knew about it and no one cared. The only time it started getting public press was when he went against AJ, and that's why I feel he's actually kept it going, because he wouldn't be employed by PBC unless he had AJ's name in his mouth. That's the bottom line, because he wouldn't be doing no numbers. Simple. In fact, I'm not even, hand on my heart, I'm not even sure if Lennox Lewis does commentating. I'm not even sure what he does at PBC, if I'm honest. He's just there, talking rubbish all the time. Anyway, that's the first thing. The clown, that there is 100% true. I couldn't have said it better myself. Clown, 100%. Complete clown. The next thing he says. Well, Anna Wollhausen says, so after AJ calls him a clown, she says, yeah, well, he created a legacy though. And AJ bums her back and says, so have I. A good point. And I've always said this myself. Fundamentally and statistically speaking, AJ to 23 fights or 22 fights, take out that last one. AJ to 22 fights had a better resume than Lewis. He had a better, in fact, in my opinion, statistically speaking, he had a top 3 resume all time. Bottom line, you can love it or hate it, whatever you want to do. AJ to 22 fights had one of the best resumes in heavyweight history. Bottom line, if you don't like it, go and do your research and come back. I've looked at all the top people. The only one close is actually Ali. So that's what I'm saying. You man can, if you think I'm wrong, go and do the stats and come back. Yeah. So Lennox was actually pretty close as it happened. 222 fights, but he wasn't ahead of AJ. So even that, Lennox talks about his legacy. You weren't doing the things AJ was doing at 22 fights. Now, the next part. AJ says, me and Lennox are not the same. I appreciate the next generation. I sit back and watch. Lennox isn't like that. We're cut from different cloth. And this is what made me laugh. A lot of people jumped on the cut from different cloth stuff. They didn't realise that AJ wasn't talking about, oh yes, I'm a more ruthless fighter. He was talking about spiritually. Yeah? Culturally speaking. AJ and, as I keep mentioning, AJ and Ali are they're on that same spiritual wavelength, I believe. I might be wrong, but from what I observe, from where I'm sitting as an outsider, obviously with inside proprietary sources, but as an outsider with insider sources, from where I'm sitting, he's got that same spirit. He doesn't have that P Diddiness about him. Lennox has that P Diddiness where he wants to have an opinion about everything when it suits him. He wants to be all in the videos and all in the camera, all in the shows. That's the feeling I get of Lennox. And you've noticed, he's absolutely loving this back and forth between him and AJ now. He loves the relevancy. And I've got to be honest, I didn't actually think that about Lennox, but I think it's actually true. He's loving it. He's loving all this hype. Fundamentally, he's loving it. Absolutely loving it. And, but yeah, let me finish that video off there. I'm glad to see this side of AJ. Completely, it was a humble smoking session. Like, it wasn't, as I've always said, I've been asking AJ to start giving it out truly and honestly. And this right here was a true and honest, information-based roast. Yeah? There was no, you can't be talking, after all the things Lennox has said, you can't be talking about apologies. AJ didn't go in that hard. He didn't start talking, if AJ had started talking about some of the alleged rumours out there about Lennox, now you can do your own research into them if you so please, then that maybe might have been over the mark. But from what he said here, apology? How about Lennox? He's the older man, by the way. Why doesn't he apologise? And he's meant to be the one that, with all his wisdom. Now, let me also put a bit of a disclaimer on this. Many people in the comments will say, "Oh, YB, you will agree with Lennox on the Rob McCrappen situation," and I was. But as always, the YB addresses things and judges things on a case-by-case basis. Simple. Just because you're wrong, just because Lennox and Wilder are wrong 99.9% of the time, it doesn't mean on that 0.0001% of the time that they're right. I'm not going to call it. that Lennox's training advice, I think, was pretty close to what I was thinking myself. But on these other examples, he's not even out of order. I've got no problem. Like, some people are just smoky people. My problem is the snidiness of Lennox, aka the fact he will say all these polarizing things about AJ, and then when it comes to Fury fighting Wallin, he's got nothing to say. When Fury is fighting Schwartz, he's got nothing to say. But when AJ was fighting Povetkin and Vlad, that was AJ hiding in the UK. Why isn't Fury... So if that's AJ hiding in the UK, fighting Parker, Vlad, Povetkin, Takam, what is Fury fighting Schwartz and all these and Wallin in the US? What's that then? Oh, we don't know, because Lennox only has a polarizing opinions when it comes to AJ. Anyway, let's see what happens going on from here. I hope that this needs to carry on. I hope, well, from what I see of AJ, this looks to be on the up and up. Every month, I'm always, or every now and then, or what I'm trying to say is more consistently, we're having these sort of videos. 100%. This is bang on it, bang on the money, smoky, brilliant, perfect.